Is it possible to retire a millionaire just on government salary? The simple answer is yes, but let me break down the structure you need in order to save for retirement. If you've been in the public sector for a while, you know that you've been grossly underpaid compared to the private sector, but people have their own reasons why they work for the government or serve in the military. There are a lot more benefits working for the government than in the private sector, like the pension plan. So this video will focus on how to retire a millionaire as a federal or FERS employee or a member of the armed forces if you're in the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, or Space Force. If you're a federal employee, then you're part of the Federal Employee Retirement System, or FERS. And if you're in the military, then you're part of the Blended Retirement System, or BRS. If you're an old-timer like me, then you may have elected to stay with what's called a legacy retirement system to keep the higher pension payments. And I will add chapters to this video, so feel free to skip any of them as you wish. First, let me talk about the 4 pillars for FERS and BRS. Yes, it's 4 and not 3, like you heard during your orientation. So you have 4 main pillars that will build your $1 million retirement portfolio: your FERS or BRS pension, Social Security benefits, TSP, and IRA. I'm not going to touch on the Social Security in this video because you can check out the video I made about it, and I will link that video in the description below. So let's talk about the first pillar, which is your pension, and I'll talk about the first calculation and then I'll talk about BRS. Your first annuity is based on your length of service and high 3 average salary. So those 3 years are usually your final 3 years of service with the federal government, unless you got a demotion. It doesn't include your overtime or specialty pay. It's just your basic salary. So you get 1% of your high 3 average salary for each year of service if you retire under age 62 or age 62 or older with less than 20 years of service. You get the extra 0.1% or 1.1% of your high 3 average salary if you retire at age 62 or older with 20 or more years of service. If you're an air traffic controller, firefighter, law enforcement officer, or nuclear materials couriers, then you could get 1.7% of your high 3 average salary within your 20 years of service and 1% of your high 3 average salary exceeding 20 years of service. Let me give you an example. Let's say you retire at age 62 as a GS-12 with 20 years of service and your high 3 average salary is $100,000. You'll multiply $100,000 by 20 years of service and then multiply by 1.1% because you retired at age 62 with over 20 years of service. Then that equals to $22,000 a year in gross annual pension or $1,833 a month. Another example is if you retire at age 50 as a GS-12 with 18 years of service and your high 3 average salary is $100,000. You'll multiply $100,000 by 18 years of service and then multiply by 1% because you retired under the age 62 with under 20 years of service. Then that equals to $18,000 a year in gross annual pension or $1,500 a month. Keep in mind that your FERS pension is taxable, so the numbers I showed are all gross pension income. You might even elect to pay for the Federal Employee Health Benefits or FEHB after retirement and the survivor benefits, so your net pension payments could be a lot lower than your gross pension income. The earliest you can collect your first pension is at age 62 with at least 5 years of service. However, you can also do what's called a MRA or minimum retirement age when you're 57 years old, born in or after 1970. Under the MRA with at least 10 years of service with less than 30 years of service, your pension will be reduced by 5% for every year that you're under age 62. If you're at your MRA with over 30 years of service, then you can start collecting FERS pension without any deductions. You can even buy back your military time if you're serving in the military and add that to your FERS retirement calculation, but I will make a separate video about that in the future. By the way, you can get our free FIRE resources by visiting firesidechat.com/contact, and you can also check out the Fireside Chat shop, and I have all of my stuff on my bookshelf at firesidechat.com/shopping. So speaking of the military, let's talk about BRS or Blended Retirement System. The Blended Retirement System gives you pension annuity after 20 years of service and the TSP employer match. I will touch on the TSP employer match in the next chapter. BRS was created because the government realized that only 15% of service members stay in the military for over 20 years. When you get out of the military, you can continue to grow what the government gave you in the TSP matching in the stock market. So the BRS calculation is similar to FERS. Your annuity is based on the high 3 average basic pay times 2%. Keep in mind that your BAH, BAS, flight pay, or any other specialty pays do not count towards your retirement. It's just your basic pay. When you retire from the military with 20 years of service, you get 40% of your final base pay. If you retire with 30 years of service, you get 60% of your final base pay. So after 20 years of service, every additional year you serve will give you 2% of your final base pay in pension. For example, you retire as an E7 with 20 years of service, and according to the 2022 pay chart, your basic pay is at $5,232.60. So if I average that with the previous pay at $5,175.30, at 18 years as an E7, that's about $5,200. When I multiply it by 2% and times 20 years of service, then you get about $25,000 a year in BRS pension, or $2,080 a month. Another example is if you retire as a prior enlisted O3E at 24 years of service and your high 3 average basic pay is about $8,000 a month, you're going to multiply it by 2% and times 24 years of service, then you get $3,840 a month, or $46,000 a year in pension. Keep in mind that rules are different for Guard and Reserve, so service members in Guard or Reserve who serve more than 20 years will collect what's called non-regular retirement. Generally, they're eligible to collect pension at age 60, but there are exceptions to the policy. You can visit the military pay website to calculate your future retirement, and I will put that link in the description below. By the way, if you need help with your personal finances, you can schedule a free one-on-one 20-minute financial coaching session by visiting firesidechat.com/coaching. Now let's talk about the second pillar, which is your thrift savings plan, or TSP. The TSP is by far the best employer-sponsored retirement plan in terms of cost to maintain your mutual funds and target retirement funds. I've had 401ks before from the private sector, and they're far more expensive than the TSP. Under FERS and BRS, you will get your service matching contribution, or also known as the employer match. On top of that, you will get automatic contribution of 1% even if you don't put anything into your TSP. Guys, this is the time that you do not leave free money on the table. You just need to contribute at a minimum of 5% to get the 4% employer match, plus the 1% automatic contribution. That's a dollar for dollar matching if you just contribute 5% of your retirement. Let me bring up my retirement calculator, and you can download a spreadsheet for free by visiting firesidechat.com/contact. Let's say you're starting your career at age 25 and your base salary is $45,000 a year. With 5% personal contribution and 5% matching, your personal contribution is $2,250 plus your employer contribution at $2,250. That's a total of $4,500 into your TSP. The key here is to increase your TSP contribution by at least 1% every year. Your ultimate goal is to save at least 15% of your income towards your retirement, but I completely understand if that's too difficult while you're making less than $70,000 a year on a single household income. The maximum contribution limit for TSP in 2022 is $20,500, not counting the employer match. If you're in a dual income household, then you may have more wiggle room in your budget to maximize your TSP contribution. So if you retire at 20 years and you increase your contribution up to 15% in your TSP with 10% average annual return, you're looking at over $626,000 in the TSP. By the time you turn 59 and a half, your TSP is valued at $2.8 million, and that's without any further contributions into your TSP. The key thing here is your savings rate. And if you don't increase your contribution, it will take you a lot longer to reach $500,000 in your TSP. As far as what to invest inside your TSP, you can check out these two videos, and I will put those links in the description below. The next pillar nobody else seems to talk about is the Roth IRA, or individual retirement account. This is a must-have retirement account for every American, whether you're in the public or in the private sector. You can contribute up to $6,000 a year into a Roth IRA on top of the TSP. So yes, you can contribute to both IRA and TSP at the same time. You can open a Roth IRA with a brokerage firm like Vanguard, Schwab, or Fidelity. This is your after-tax contribution, so you'll put money directly from your checking account. With the TSP, it's deducted from your paychecks. So the beauty of a Roth IRA is that because you already pay taxes on the money you have in your checking account, the IRS can't tax you again. Every dollar you grow in your Roth IRA is tax-free, and then you can withdraw the earnings tax-free when you turn 59 and a half. Let me go back to my favorite spreadsheet here. So if you start contributing to your Roth IRA at age 25 with 10% average annual rate of return, you're looking at $378,000 by the time you hit 20 years in service with the military or the federal government. You can continue to contribute to your Roth IRA after you leave government service. So if you continue to contribute to your Roth IRA after you retire from the government service, you're looking at almost $2 million tax-free dollars in your Roth IRA by the time you turn 59 and a half. But let's go back to age 44 when you hit 20 years in service. Your Roth IRA could be valued at $378,000, your TSP at $626,000, and not to mention the other assets you may have like your home equity, emergency fund, and taxable brokerage accounts. You will be a millionaire, if not a multi-millionaire, by the time you hit 20 years in service. At age 60, you would have almost $4 million total between TSP and Roth IRA. Now, that's your retirement security. With 4% withdrawal rate, you could enjoy up to $160,000 a year in retirement without worrying about your money ever running out. And that's not counting your pension you get every year. So is it possible to become a millionaire just on government salary? My math is saying yes. But here are some things that you need to avoid to secure your retirement savings and achieve financial independence. Finances are 20% math, but 80% behavior. And first, don't buy stupid stuff like a brand new pickup truck or a Mustang when you're only making $50,000 a year. You're only going to be hurting your savings rate from making these car payments. Second, stay out of credit card debt, and this is especially bad for the people in the military. A vast majority of servicemen and women don't have student loans because they elected to join the military after high school or got some sort of scholarships from their ROTC. But they get in trouble with credit cards and personal loans. Third, continue to increase your savings rate. When you contribute 5% of your TSP and maxing out your Roth IRA at $6,000 during your first year on a $45,000 salary, you're already saving 18% of your income towards your retirement. If you're working on paying off your debt, then stop your Roth IRA contribution, but keep the TSP contribution at 5% because you get free money from your employer. If you follow my FIRE checklist, you want to first save up for your emergency fund up to deductibles, save your retirement up to employer match, pay off your debt, max out your emergency fund, and then max out your Roth IRA. Unfortunately, if you have TRICARE, then you're not eligible for the HSA. So with that said, I appreciate you watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.